So, as someone who is an expert in firearms, we don't want to be quick to criticize others and their misconceptions about firearms. We would rather give the knowledge and then learn it. And so recently in the news, they have talked about the assassination of this United Healthcare CEO, and in conversations among people who follow gun tubers, we will not throw it under the bus, people who are a bit terminally online in X and other platforms, they've had this conversation about what type of weapon was used. Both you and I have seen anything from it was a subsonic round or it was a welrod. We agree this sort of seems to be an ancillary conversation, right? Like someone was murdered. How much does it matter what gun was used, other than law enforcement agencies maybe trying to track down the origin of the weapon?
Well, this murder was kind of unique, of course, because it seems to be staged by a person who really planned it out. And what has happened is, I call them experts of experts, have gotten online and are trying to get notoriety, trying to get fame through the media by proclaiming things that may necessarily not be true.
Would you almost say, and this is the sort of way I see it, and this goes among many um, conversations like anything. You have your, what did I used to call them? Your wise individuals. They seem to know something no matter better than you, no matter what you say.
That's a good point. And the other thing in this current time and this generation, everybody is trying to make a dollar. And if I can get more fame online than the next person, if I can keep my name and my posture continue to go, hopefully that time will bring me more income. So I have to say something a little bit better than the next guy. And I think that's where we're at in this situation because now you have a firearm that was used. We don't know what it was. It appears to be just a normal pistol with a normal silencer by the videos that we have seen, and it jams. Well, all of a sudden, it jumped from a jamming firearm to a well rod or a copy of a well rod. And the secondary conversation that has come out of this is the knockdown of anybody who uses the term silencer versus suppressor. So I'd like to clarify both those points. As everybody knows, I work for ATF. I testify as an expert on numerous occasions, and I do it today as a civilian. You can't testify to a picture, and I have guided numerous U.S. attorneys and numerous defense attorneys that when you're charged with possession of a firearm and all you have is a picture, that's just a picture of a firearm. It's not a firearm. So for these people to come out and say, well, this is a well rod, when it doesn't even look like one, it doesn't even look like a well rod or the new BT9 or VP9, whatever the nomenclature is of it, it doesn't look like it at all.
So I didn't know what a well rod was until I played a video game called Sniper Elite several years ago. I didn't even know it was an actual thing. Because just at the time it never really entered nomenclature, especially with my background in law enforcement firearms and military firearms. So describe briefly the function of a well rod. Just is in layman terms how it functions.
Okay, I have shot well rods
Yeah,
and I have tested well rods because ATF has them in their national collection.
yeah.
And because I did studies on silencers, I set up silencer protocols, and I use the term silencer. I don't use the term suppressor.
But the term silencer is written in U.S. code. That's correct, right?
It's in U.S. code, and also for all of these knowledgeable experts, look up Hiram uh, um, Maxim and his original patent on silencers.
I actually had a conversation where one of the guys who they were trying to say it's a suppressor. The issue with calling it a silencer versus suppressor is within firearms. There are many different types of suppressor. There's a flash suppressor. There's a noise suppressor, which is called a silencer.
It's an interchangeable term.
Yeah.
If I want to say suppressor, I say suppressor. I generally use silencer because I use the U.S. code so often. And under Title 18, Section 921, 824, it talks about a silencer is any device for reducing or diminishing the report of a portable firearm. So we got it in U.S. code. Then we have the original father of silencers patenting a silencer. The first commercial successful silencer was not called a suppressor. So through the years, we have our experts of experts have tried to appear like if you use a certain term against a term that they use, then you're not knowledgeable. So there's front. I've seen these guys even banter on the news interview. It's not a suppressor. It's not a silencer. It's a suppressor. Trying to upstage the other expert that's on there.
Okay, so let's forget the whole pissing contest amongst these people. Their knowledge compared to yours will probably not be on par. Let's be real. Let's be arrogant in this. A lot of the people that they reference as experts, it's mostly look at me, look at me, look at my wall of achievements. Correct?
I would say that is correct. Now, and I'm not going to be arrogant and say that the knowledge that they have isn't compared to the knowledge I have, but I will tell you this. I have researched the history of silencers. I've researched the test protocol history, and myself and Max Kingery and others in ATF Forensic Technology Branch brought in engineers, sound engineers, and we did a study of sound to write up our own test protocol. So now our test protocol is not as extensive as the one that the Army uses, and they have a specific test operating protocol. That's what they're called, the TOP, test operating protocol.
This is a different mission.
Correct. We just wanted to show that a device was capable of reducing or diminishing the sound of a firearm it was attached to. And I bring Max Kingery into this because even though I was in charge of the operation, Max did 90% of the legwork. Max sat with our engineers for at least a week. It could have been 2 weeks. And the engineers came in from B&K, Brule and Care, a renowned sound meter company. And they sat down and taught us an extensive amount so that our technicians, when they testified in a federal case, knew exactly what sound was, knew exactly how a silencer worked, and knew the capabilities of silencers in different firearms. So I didn't just shoot silencers. I didn't just shoot them in the dark. I didn't just shoot them, say this one sounds lighter than this. We actually developed protocols.
I specifically remember, and this was, gosh, it was years ago. Um, you did have me look at a paper that actually even mentioned decibels. You may not even remember this.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, but that's what we were talking. We were like really getting into not, oh, I saw a Steven Seagal movie where he's shooting at a calf and you can barely hear it, and that's how silencers are. And as someone who grew up with um, most of my knowledge about how loud a gun was, either from firing in the range, but also from movies, because I never shot a silencer before um, before I grew up, right? Gosh, come to think, I don't even know if I ever shot a silencer. I've shot so many times in my life, I don't even know. But people need to realize, first of all, that silencer is a sort of contradiction in terms. If someone shoots a silencer next to your head, it's going to spook you.
Well, it is and it isn't because a silencer doesn't say that I silence is saying 100%. It's a silencer. It silences in increments. The better the device, the better it reduces the noise level.
So just to give a comparison, like let's say I had a silenced 45, the decibel level might be as loud as 22. You're still going to hear it. It's just not going to be as loud, and it's definitely.
I would. We tested so many silencers. Every time we tested a silencer, we calibrated it, and it's because we were challenged in court. So it got to the point where I could clap my hands like that, and I tell you, that's 110 to 115 decibels.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I would do the calibration, slap it and say, okay, if it was reading like 120, 130, I knew my calibration wasn't correct. So we'd recalibrate it. But that was just things that we did, and everybody had their own. Some guys would slap the table just to see what it was going to what it would record. And a decibel is just a unit of measurement, is all it is. It's a unit measurement for sound. And the the real sound experts don't use the term noise; they use the term sound because they're reducing the sound level, not a noise level.
Okay. Okay. So given in that, and this is my point of view, and I'm curious if it's your point of view, is people are wasting their finger muscles and their brain energy arguing whether it's a silencer or a suppressor, whether it's a welrod or it's a subsonic round, all this stuff. Like,
Well, I never say 100%, but I can tell you looking at that video, my opinion, it is not a well rod or a modern type. If you look at the video, anybody listen to this, a well rod, the external dimension of the silencer and the body are almost
it's
the same.
integrated, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's almost exact. And the new modern, I think it's the B&T, not VP9, B&T9, is the same as copied of it. And to the other, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying not to be too critical.
So, like, let's be real. We don't want anyone to think we're against them. We just want to be like, slow your roll. Let the knowledge come out.
And then here's the other thing.
Assuming it comes out.
Why does the gun malfunction? We don't know. No one knows yet if he made the silencer, if that was the only silencer he had, because now you get to the point where I don't go to the store and buy a silencer off the shelf and say, well, it'll work on my 308, it'll work on my 223, it'll work on my 380, it'll work on my 9mm. You
Yeah.
have to buy a silencer that has been tested, and commercial silencers today are so well made, it is just unbelievable. The technology that is being used to make silencers today is just incredible. So I say, let's say I have a Beretta 380, then I'm going to look online and say, which is the best silencer for my 380? And I'm going to purchase that. So what happens when a bullet goes through a silencer? Well, the velocity comes from the exploding gases. So these gases are pushing that projectile downrange. There's gases in front of it, there's gases behind it. So those gases are being trapped inside that silencer, and before escape the muzzle, some of those gases are coming back. So that could interfere with the function of the firearm. That's just the back blast right there. The other event is a silencer weighs a certain amount of weight. So now you have the silencer pulling down on the barrel, pulling down on the slide, and that could jam your firearm. So there's different causes of jamming. It could have just had junk ammunition. Now the other issue, they have 3 cartridge cases. By the head stamp on those cartridge cases, they probably already know whether it's what's that low velocity subsonic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
non-subsonic, because there's only a limited amount of subsonic firearms ammunition manufacturers, so they already know whether it's subsonic or not, and subsonic does create malfunctions also, because the gun is used, it's tested. 9mm tested 1100 feet per second, 900 feet per second, not at 750 or 850 feet per second by the manufacturer. So all of these points go into a malfunction. No one knows what created the malfunction yet because they don't have the gun and they don't have the shooter. If I was to answer that question, and I've spoken to a couple of media personnel, I told them I did not want to go on medium, that I would just help them out. I would just say these are the general causes of malfunction when using a silencer. It could have been one of these 2 or 3 events that created a malfunction.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to go back to the photograph. There's another federal agency, and we'll mention his name, that will charge a person for possession of firearm off a picture in a heartbeat. And I have testified, and I've given advice to other people who have testified, and they have lost in court because there are toy copies of every single gun known to man today.
And stuff comes out every year that I'm just like I've never even heard of it, and apparently it's been around for years. So yeah.
I say 10 years ago, technology used to happen in months. Technology happens today in minutes.
Well, and we talk about this on one of our in a quantum leap, all technology,
Yes.
whether it be AI, computing, infrastructure, and I see no reason why guns aren't going along with it, especially with 3D printing and such.
And that's why I say silencers are changing exponentially.
Yeah.
The firearm, it's a vessel for an exploding cartridge. It can only change so much because you can change the materials,
Yeah.
but you still have to have a chamber that holds an exploding cartridge that'll hold 30,000 psi's.
Yeah.
When we're talking about a handgun, rifle now you're talking about 60,000 psi's and above. So you have to have a vessel that's that strong. And so the technology is able to change in a silencer so much faster than into a firearm. It's incredible.
Mhm.
So they're going to see a lot of changes in I would say in the next few years we'll see a lot of changes in firearms. But the bottom line is no one knows what causes the it, the malfunction because we don't know. No one knows yet.
Mm.
And there is nothing wrong other than it is proper to use the term silencer, not suppressor. Once again, look at the U.S. code and pull up the patent. All of us, especially these experts of all experts, know how to use Google and type in Hiram Maxim and design of a silencer and look at his patent. And so if he called it a silencer, that was before our time. It's still called a silencer today.
And let's toot your own horn, Dad. You get calls from experts daily to possibly testify based on your knowledge of this. This isn't just, oh, I was in the Marine Corps for 22 years and I played with guns. Like you are an expert, and that's not to toot your own horn. That's a fact.
Yes, I wouldn't say daily, but I get called quite a bit, and I've testified on behalf of people. And here's the other thing: somebody mentioned this very cursory: the solvent traps. If you go online and just type in solvent traps, please do not order one. A solvent trap is being charged as a precursor to a silencer.
Mhm.
It looks like the silencer has got a little bit of work left to do. This gentleman may have bought a solvent trap and drilled his own holes into it and made his own silencer. And that in itself would tell you that it probably didn't marry up to the firearm that he was using. Then he ordered a pistol barrel with a threaded end and just screwed the silencer on that he made.
Mhm.
So now you're going to have a bunch of problems.
All right, so I think you've cleared that. Don't go buy a trap. Now, the one thing we just briefly wanted to throw a coda at the end of this video is there are discussions both online and in real life about who the ATF director might be. We've had our own private conversations, so we'll stay private. If you had to list not people, but certain traits that you think would make a good director of the ATF, what would be your criteria?
I would think that the person who would be named would have law enforcement and prosecutorial background. Even a military background.
Yeah,
I know, as we said earlier, there's a lot of talking heads out there to saying they're being asked to be the director. Well, they put their name on a list.
yeah.
I believe it was Elon Musk or the other one said,
Oh, Kennedy. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
put your name on this list. And so they got all their basement dwellers to type in and say, we think these people should be the directors. And not to disparage them, I don't think they have any qualifications.
It's just they're bad people, and they're not good for gun discussion or gun community. They just probably don't have a place as the director of the ATF.
That is correct. But I do think they're going to have to bring somebody in from the outside because under this administration, what this administration did to ATF was really take it to depths.
Yeah,
Just it was an organization that they changed it into attacking our rights of firearm ownership, changing rules without Congress, just making up their own things as they went along.
Yeah, one of the complaints is the ATF could not be writing laws.
Well, they're not allowed to.
Yeah, but they still somehow sort of finagle their way into making policy without actually going through a.
They wrote regulations, which are any agency is authorized to write regulations. They wrote regulations with the same authority as laws, and it was clearly seen. And you can see all the losses in Supreme Court, which I am very happy to say I was a large part of the majority of those, if not all of them.
Yeah, and you and I joke that you and I always joke with him that I'm going to call up Trump and have him be the boss, but he got no issues.
And I don't think I have. For one thing, I don't have the pedigree they're looking for.
You're not a litigator. You don't between both of us, one of us graduated high school.
That was a long time ago.
Long time
I
ago.
did finish at night,
Yeah,
but I don't have a pedigree. I don't have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I was never a U.S. attorney. Even though I worked with law enforcement, I did not carry a badge.
yeah. And with that, I appreciate you having this talk with me because I jokingly call myself the Chancellor of Gun X. And the reason I do this is because people say if you like guns, you're a Nazi. So I said, you're going to call me a Nazi. I guess I'm the Chancellor. It's a joke, obviously. Um, but what I find interesting is if you call for other gun enthusiasts to have accountability, the first thing they're able to do is get offended. So I jokingly put on there, neither you and I are at the ideal weight we should be. Let's be honest, both of us could put up sugar, lose some weight, right? But I have like people going after me, cursing at me, this and that. And I'm just like, guys, calm down. Like, even though we can call people basement dwellers, we're all on the same side.
That is correct.
No matter what long-haired felt congressman does on YouTube, he's still one of us. He's still on our side. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and I think I just wanted to get that out there. Like, instead of having these ancillary discussions online about is it a welrod, is it this, is that, is it silencer, go suppressor, go outside, shoot some clay, shoot some steel. You know, do a little workout. Like what we used to do in FAMS training is shooting drills where we would work out to get our heart rate going, and then see if we could shoot steel plates. You know, because try to mimic the tunnel vision. But that's what I say to sort of close up is like, guys, whoever leads the ETF, let's hope they're going to lead it right.
This is what I like to say.
Yeah,
Everybody has to make an income.
yeah.
Make the income professionally. Don't exaggerate and don't tell tall tales.
And don't start yelling at each other on TV or on the internet. You know, and I tell people this. I say I talk to people online the same way I would as if we are in person. And not because, it's, I might be getting a fist fight in person. My fist fighting days are behind me. It's just, I don't want to lose friends. I don't want to lose people who share a common interest that I do just because we have nuances over the way we view it differently, right?
That is. And everybody have a great day. And let's hope to see they find this firearm. So they'll know exactly what it is.
So you can be sent to jail because a murder is a murder. Anyway, Dad, I appreciate this conversation. Thanks, guys. If you listened, we appreciate it. And if you have any comments or criticisms, hey, we'll listen to them, but we're not going to argue back. Have a good one.